Welcome back to the Craftsman's Collective, a podcast designed to help makers in the concrete, wood, and steel industries improve their businesses and lives by discussing our common struggles, tips we found along the way, and how we can combine our unique perspectives to create even more spectacular pieces. I'm doing things a little bit different this time. It's a little bit, I guess we would call it a mini-series. Let's call it the most amazing things that I've ever found that have been great for me ever in the history of ever. Subtitle, leaving out all the stupid shit that doesn't actually help. P.S. For me. Now, apparently you have to put a disclaimer in of some sorts for some of these categories along the lines of if you're overweight and you need to lose some weight and some of these things may affect you adversely, check with a physician or healthcare professional or any of the other stuff. If you decide to try some of these things, you're doing so at your own risk. I am not a health provider, practitioner, or any of the other things that people usually have in those disclaimers. These are just things that have helped me. And if you decide to do some of them, do so smartly, I guess. Despite the name of the mini-series, I didn't want to have anybody have an exaggerated viewpoint of any of these things on the impact that they would have for them. So I wanted to keep it as baseline neutral as possible. If you decide to try any of these things, I really hope they had as much of an impact for you as they did for me. So without further ado, let's get to it. First category is health and the physical side of things. So the things that have had the greatest impact for me are going to be meditation, breathing, so a hot shower version of those, and then a cold plunge. The cold plunge is a different thing that has both helpful for the breathing and a mental aspect. And then something called gut smashing. Those I will go over in greater detail in a different category. The things that have helped me the most are fixing muscle imbalances and increasing my flexibility. The main thing that I used was knees over toes or the Athletic Truth Group. Again, links in the description. I was able to see a pretty drastic improvement in lower back pain and some knee problems that I was having. I did the Knee Ability Zero program. It helped a lot. I kind of fell off the wagon and I need to get back on it, but it really helped my lower back pain go away, and that really helped in the shop because there's a lot of like leaning over things, moving things, lifting things, and then moving around. The other thing that helped a lot is getting really strong and good at movements in the gym, such as deadlifts, both the sumo version and the traditional or Olympic versions of those. That's going to help you pick things up off the ground. Farmer's carries and suitcase carries, those are going to be where you hold something down beside you and basically walk and carry heavy weight. Those are obvious. If you're picking up a bag of Portland cement, for example, and carrying that around, those are going to help with that. Front squat, which is where you're going to have the weight on the front. So if you have a piece and you're trying to flip that piece over, front squat's going to help with that, as well as the military press. And then, of course, working everything with the spine and your core muscles, that will help considerably. Making sure that you're really flexible in your legs, that will help with your lower back pain quite a bit. That's what helped me a lot with the knees over toes program. Another concept that helped me quite a bit is called greasing the grooves by Pavel Tsatsouline, I think is how you pronounce it. This concept is basically where anytime you have like some free time or there's something that you can do in transition of some kind, that you can add in an exercise of some kind. So in our industry, for example, you can have a partially batched out batch in a bucket, for example, and you can do several curls on that. You can carry those buckets from one point to another, and that's farmer's carry, for example. If you have a gantry in your shop, you could do a couple pull-ups every time you walk by it. That's not going to add any time onto what you're doing. Is if you have to walk from, say, your miter saw over to your casting table and the gantry is in between, hop up and do 2 pull-ups. Or if you have a set of rings on there, you can do a couple upright rows. You could do a goblet squat with a bag of sand. All these different things that we can add in very seamlessly into our days that it's very, very simple. It's very easy for us to do, and it's just as simple as somebody pointing it out, and then you'll see these options pop up everywhere. It's a really, really good way to build some strength, especially since a lot of the stuff that we have to do is heavy and requires a decent amount of flexibility. I want to close out this section with saying that no, making concrete, even a lot of it, does not count as a workout. I see that pop up in the forums quite a bit. That is a repetitive motion, and we use the same muscles every single time we do those. You're basically going to be building up a certain part of your body, and all your antagonistic muscles are basically just going to get weaker, and you're going to start getting some really problems. That's the problem that I was running into with my knee pain and lower back pain. Is my quads were getting lots of motion, lots of work, and constantly leaning over the casting table, and that was causing problems. Well, once you start working on the flexibility of the hamstrings, your hip flexors, and all those types of things, those problems start to kind of fix themselves because the muscles are pulling on each other properly. I'd love to hear if there is anything that has been exponentially more helpful to you than, say, other things, whether it's traditional advice or something that's a little bit more obscure. Doing that in the YouTube comments or in the forums on Facebook or messaging me directly would be really, really appreciated. I'm always looking for new ways to improve, and I think doing this together is probably the best way to do that. If one of the books or resources mentioned in the episode would be beneficial to you or someone that you know, and you would like to support this channel, using the affiliate links in the description would be incredibly helpful. Thanks to everyone who listened all the way through. I hope you found something that was beneficial, and I'll look forward to hearing from you in the next episode. Later.